Hello everybody and welcome back to Red Eagle Politics. Make sure you guys like this video down below and subscribe to the channel if you are new. So, we had several elections take place last night. I did not stream them, although I would have if I was not currently out of town. But nevertheless, we are coming back today. More content's on the way for sure, but I had to put this video out to talk about it because we've been getting a lot of questions about what does this mean, what's going on in Kentucky. We lost some mayorships across the country in ancestrally Republican areas, but we'll be discussing all of this because it is important. And what happened in Kentucky was a proxy war that heated up between Donald Trump and a lot of the members of the Republican establishment. Ron DeSantis as well stepped in this race at the last minute, endorsing Kelly Knight Craft against Daniel Cameron, who's the Attorney General of Kentucky. He is Donald Trump's endorsement for this race, and he won big. He didn't win by like just a little bit, and that's with minimal campaigning. I mean, let's be real. He should have blown away with this field, and early on in the polls, maybe that was the case, but then they tightened. Some polls even showed Craft nipping at his heels. And Craft is somebody who spent a lot of money on this race, and she's very out of touch, robotic to a certain extent. I'm not going to say she's like awful on the issues necessarily compared to somebody like Karen Taylor Robson from Arizona, but there are a lot of similarities there. She's not as like bad of a person necessarily, but nevertheless, she spent a ridiculous amount of money. She outspent Daniel Cameron like 11-1 and came across as out of touch, unlikable, and she got destroyed behind Ryan Quarles. And she was also the more unelectable candidate. You know, these people that talk about electability were somehow backing Craft because it's a proxy war. Their guy, Ron DeSantis, was backing Craft, and Craft went down and lost big time. So this is a proxy war victory for Trump. Also, the same primary polls that had Cameron, you know, winning like 30-20 over Craft had Donald Trump winning by like 50, 60 points over DeSantis in Kentucky. Yes, Kentucky is a very pro-Trump state compared to other states even, but it's more likely than not he's doing even better than that. And that was a ridiculously bad decision that DeSantis made to step in and endorse somebody who is all but guaranteed to lose. I mean, even some of his own people are admitting that it was a bad decision for him to make, and it really was. And that's not the only loss that he took last night. Donald Trump is doing a lot of victory laps. The Jacksonville mayoral election took place. So did Colorado Springs. I don't believe they've ever elected a Democrat mayor, but Colorado has changed so much. We talk about liberals in California moving to the state of Texas. Folks, the liberals in California, they tend to go to Colorado. The conservatives there go to Nevada, Texas, except for Austin, and then the liberals there go to the Pacific Northwest, where the taxes are lower, despite them being Democrat states. Colorado, same thing there. They go to, you know, Arizona's a little bit of a mixed bag, and then, yeah, they go to Austin. But nevertheless, it is true that Colorado's changing, and that mayoralship flip, Colorado's gone. Make no mistake about it. It is not the state it used to be. It is over for Colorado. We have no business contesting it in a presidential race, especially when we have much bigger and important fish to fry. Jacksonville, Florida. Florida's moved right, but Jacksonville has been moving left for quite some time recently. And we know that. Ron DeSantis won Duval County in the governorship by 11 points. He could have been down there campaigning for the Republican mayoral candidate who barely lost just by 4 points in the runoff election. Instead, he was up in Iowa. And this is kind of an optics failure for DeSantis because he's not even an announced candidate. Because I understand if you are running for president, you're going to be campaigning. But if you're also governor and you're not announcing your run, but all you do is spend time campaigning, going to other countries when you have things like floods, gas shortages, you know, Florida insurance rates increasing significantly as of late, it's not the best look. It's really not. And he is somebody who went to Japan. He's been to Israel. He's been all over. He's been to the UK. But he hasn't been campaigning for the candidate that he endorsed. Donald Trump stayed out of this race. Trump didn't endorse. They always like to blame Trump. They find some 4D chess way. And Trump's not as popular in Jacksonville as he is in other parts of Florida, even Miami. He's more popular there now than he is in Jacksonville. Make no mistake about it. But either way, Republicans did lose this, and it's not only DeSantis' fault. But is it a bad look for him? And even some of his own people now are saying, yeah, that was a head scratcher. Yeah, and it just shows you the people that are getting DeSantis, that are drafting him to run, don't know what they're doing. He's way behind in the polls. No presidential candidate has ever polled at or above 50% in a primary in the aggregate and lost the nomination. Even Hillary Clinton in 2008, she didn't poll above 50. And Obama was somebody who was transformational. He was charismatic. There are many flaws. We don't like Obama, but still, you have to give credit where it's due. He is somebody who is relatively charismatic. He is somebody who really appealed well to the Democrat base. And when you hear Ron DeSantis going up there and talking and he sounds robotic, like even his endorsement of Kelly Craft, because the DeSantis people didn't believe it at first. Because when it came out, it sounded like AI, but that's just his real voice. And this isn't me like being petty. This isn't me saying, oh, well, I have to just defend everything Trump does and trash everything DeSantis does. But this notion that this guy, even if you want to say he's relatively popular in Florida or whatever, that really doesn't have that much charisma, is going to be able to go out there and take down Donald Trump, who manned that CNN town hall in a primary. Absolutely not. And he's losing the proxy wars. He's picking the wrong battles. And as a result, it just shows that his campaign has been taking a ridiculous amount of L's lately. He should not run. He would be in a much better position for 2028 if he decided to either try to be Trump's VP or just sit out 2024 and endorse Donald Trump. That way the party would be united, because a divided party, and he's going to spend millions of dollars, hundreds of millions trying to divide the party. It's likely not going to work a whole lot if he continues at this rate, because he's been spending money and he's still losing support. But it's like, get behind the nominee, because the nominee can win. Trump is up in the polls and the popular vote. Yes, polls can be flawed, but let's be real. He hasn't lost a lot of support since 2020. And you put his record up against Biden's, unite the party behind him, get everybody on board. Yes, Donald Trump will have a very good chance at defeating Biden in 2024. But even if he gets the nomination and the party's divided, his chances dip. So Trump is using this as ammunition politically, and it would be smart of him to at this point, because DeSantis is essentially in this race. And even though he's not technically announced yet, he's going to announce soon, allegedly, maybe even next Monday from what I hear. But what we do know is that he's out there in Iowa. He's up there in New Hampshire. He's going to foreign countries as governor of Florida. It's very clear what he's trying to do. And is this going to work? Not necessarily, in my opinion. And Trump is going on the offensive. He said, congratulations to a star in Kentucky, Daniel Cameron, there's a typo there, who easily won the Republican nomination for governor, which he did. And he's the more electable choice. Now, we also have to say, can he win in November? I don't know. Because these races are weird on these off years. It's all about turnout. And you're going to need somebody who will turn out the base a certain amount to win the election, but also somebody who's going to be able to have the funding to turn out the base to win the election. Cameron can do that, but I wouldn't say he starts off as the favorite. The Bashir name runs deep, and you're going to have to run a competent campaign. 2022 showed us how difficult it was to defeat incumbent governors. And you look at 2010 and you look at 2014, even in those red wave years, there were very rarely an instance of Republicans knocking out a Democrat incumbent governor. I think the exception would be Ted Strickland in Ohio, and then the Dems did it in the inverse in 2014 because Tom Corbett was so unpopular. And maybe there's another one or two in there. I think the Iowa governorship flipped back, but you also had a very, very popular former governor running for that as well. But nevertheless, what we know is that Daniel Cameron is the nominee. And Trump said he had my complete and total endorsement. He did. Trump did a tele-rally for him. He didn't go down there and campaign. If he did, Cameron likely would have won by a much wider margin, because even though rallies, you might say they don't sway a general by a whole lot, for primaries they absolutely do. And he says the DeSantis-backed candidate, that's his nickname for Ron DeSantis as of now, there's several others he's used, but came in a distant third. Ron's magic is gone. He also lost, shockingly, in Jacksonville last night, the mayor election, which, by the way, like I said, it's not entirely his fault. These divisive primaries are destroying us. We need to get rid of them, even in these local races. I mean, if you look at the first round, add up all the Republicans together, you get 25-16, and then you add the 7.6. So practically, first-round Republicans did better than the first-round Democrats by a little bit. So it is deeper than that, but to get everybody on board, you're going to need people down there, including Ron DeSantis. He's the governor. He wasn't in Jacksonville. He was in Iowa and all these other countries and all these other states, but that's beside the point. Then Trump went off again. And he says, wow, in a big upset, the DeSantis-backed Republican candidate for mayor of Jacksonville lost. This is a shocker. If they would have asked me to endorse, he would have won easily. Too proud to do so. Fools, this is a big loss for the Republican Party. Remember, Rob only won because of me. He's trying to, test new nicknames for DeSantis, I guess. And what is very true about this, and it's not talked about enough, is when they try to push Trump out of the picture, the candidates do worse. Dan Kelly said in Wisconsin, I don't want his endorsement. I'm going to run as a nonpartisan Republican, and then turnout is ridiculously low all over the place. When Daniel Kelly got Trump's endorsement in the first round in 2020, he got a majority, not just a plurality, but a majority of the vote. And then he lost by a lot in the second round because it was on the same day as the Democrat primary. And then he lost by even more this time around. So to say Trump has to stay out of the picture, no, that's not a good thing. And in fact, one of the real critiques about Trump in 2022, if you want to make a critique, is that he didn't get involved enough down the stretch, one could say. There were not enough rallies. He did like 6 times as many rallies in 2018 as he did in 2022. And in some places, Republicans did even worse despite doing better in the generic ballot nationwide. And that's true. But it's like this notion that, everything is Trump's fault. We have to push him out of the party. When you look at how DeSantis' candidates are doing, they're not doing so well right now. They're not. And it's very evident that he needs to focus on Florida, govern Florida, and stay out of the presidential race, or you are going to be the reincarnation of Ted Cruz. And that's not something you want to be. You're going to divide the party. You're going to go out there in a screaming match with Trump on the debate stage. It will make for good content, don't get me wrong. It will. But at the same time, it's unnecessary division in the party. We need to enter 2024 as strong as possible, as united as possible, so we can win. And DeSantis' campaign is a laughingstock. His candidates are not even breaking 20% despite outspending the top of the ticket by a ridiculous margin. Kind of a preview of what could happen with Donald Trump and DeSantis in a primary, because DeSantis may outspend him by, $200-300 million. But even now, some donors are backing out because they know they're throwing money at something that has absolutely zero chance of coming into fruition, unless they just want to intentionally divide the party, which some of them do. But that's beside the point. Kentucky, the best candidate won. Trump's candidate won. We have a better shot at flipping Kentucky now. Cameron won statewide in 2019 when Bevin didn't, which speaks volumes, outperformed him by 20. So we'll see what happens. Hopefully Cameron can go out there and win in November. Republican turnout also much higher than Democrat turnout in this race, although because Beshear's an incumbent, I wouldn't read too much into that. So anyways, guys, thanks for watching this video. Like this video down below, comment down below, subscribe to the channel, hit the bell for notifications so you never miss another video. Follow me on social media. The links are all in the description down below. As always, guys, thanks for watching. Right Eagle, out.